The General Agreement on Trade in Services is a treaty of the World Trade Organization that entered into force in January 1995 as a result of the Uruguay Round negotiations. The treaty was created to extend the multilateral trading system to service sector, in the same way the General Agreement on Tariffs and Trade provides such a system for merchandise trade. All members of the WTO are signatories to the GATS. The basic WTO principle of most favored nation applies to GATS as well. However, upon accession, members may introduce temporary exemptions to this rule. Historical background. While the overall goal of GATS is to remove barriers to trade, members are free to choose which sectors are to be progressively liberalized, i.e., marketized and privatized, which mode of supply would apply to a particular sector, and to what extent liberalization will occur over a given period of time. Members' commitments are governed by ratchet effect, meaning that commitments are one way and are not to be wound back once entered into. The reason for this rule is to create a stable trading climate. However, Article 21 does allow members to withdraw commitments, and so far 2 members have exercised this option. In November 2008, Bolivia gave a notification that it will withdraw its health services commitments. Some activist groups consider that GATS risks undermining the ability and authority of governments to regulate commercial activities within their own boundaries, with the effect of ceding power to business interests ahead of the interests of citizens. In 2003, the GATS Watch Network published a critical statement which was supported by over 500 organizations in 60 countries. At the same time, countries are not under any obligation to enter international agreements such as GATS. For countries that like to attract trade and investment, GATS adds a measure of transparency and legal predictability. Legal obstacles to services trade can have legitimate policy reasons, but can also be an effective tool for large-scale corruption for modes of supply. The GATS agreement covers 4 modes of supply for the delivery of services in cross-border trade. Sectors addressed. Services sector classifications addressed in the GATS are defined in the so-called with 120 list, which provides a list of all sectors which can be negotiated under the GATS. The title refers to the name of the official WTO document, Mountain GNS, with 120. Criticisms. The GATS agreement has been criticized for tending to substitute the authority of national legislation and judiciary with that of a GATS disputes panel conducting closed hearings. WTO member government spokespersons are obliged to dismiss such criticism because of prior commitment to perceived benefits of prevailing commercial principles of competition and liberalization. While national governments have the option to exclude any specific service from liberalization under GATS, they are also under pressure from international business interests to refrain from excluding any service provided on a commercial basis. Important public utilities such as water and electricity most commonly involve purchase by consumers and are thus demonstrably provided on the commercial basis. The same may be said of many health and education services which are sought to be exported by some countries as profitable industries. This definition defines virtually any public service as being provided on a commercial basis, and is already extending into such areas as police, the military, prisons, the justice system, public administration, and government. Over a fairly short time perspective, this could open up for the privatization or marketization of large parts, and possibly all, of what today are considered public services currently available for the whole population of a country as a social entitlement, to be restructured, marketized, contracted out to for-profit providers, and eventually fully privatized and available only to those who can pay for them. This process is currently far advanced in most countries, usually without properly informing or consulting the public as to whether or not this is what they desire.